Hey guys, how you doing? This is the Poco C75, which comes with a 50 megapixel main camera, a huge 6.88-inch display, and it only weighs in at 172 grams, which is basically nothing for a smartphone with that size. And today we're going to look at every detail and check out all of the features this phone has to offer, and let's start with the unboxing. As you can see, we have the standard black and yellow Poco box, in which we will first see the Poco C75. This one is the gold version, but it's definitely look more like silver. But you can also grab this one in the colors green and black. Now, in addition to the smartphone, you will get the SIM pin, the quick starting guide, and a USB Type-A to USB Type-C cable, and that's it. No further equipment. Next up, the specs and the design. So the Poco C75 looks awesome. This gold version has this cool stone pattern style on the back, or whatever it's supposed to be, and you'll get this already for the price of 150 euros here in Germany. Now, on the plastic backside, you will also find this huge 50 megapixel main camera, which kind of reminds me of the Redmi 14C that I have recently tested. You got a circular camera element that uses almost half of the backside, and a pattern of the backside stops where the camera begins. Right here, you will only have a plain matte backside on which you will not see any fingerprints. You will get a plastic frame, and on top of the phone you will get a 3.5mm headphone jack. So like I said, you will get a huge 6.88-inch LCD display, and despite of the size, this phone still only weighs in at 172 grams. Other smartphones with that size weigh up to 200 grams and more. You got a refresh rate of 120 Hz, which you can once again also trim down to just 60 Hz to save some of your battery life. Now, the biggest problem I have with the Poco C75 is the display. First up, you only have an LCD display, and with this one you don't get those dark blacks, and the contrast isn't that good as well. Just the colors look good, but with a display to body ratio of just 84%, you will get some huge black bezels around the display. Not only the one on the bottom is fat, but also the ones on the side and on the top of your smartphone. Now, this phone lights up with a max brightness of 600 nits, which isn't really that much, and you will have some problems reading the screen in direct sunlight. Then you got some display settings like a dark mode and a color scheme. By default it is set to vivid, but you can change it to saturated and standard, and then you can also adjust the color temperature. You have a reading mode, which will activate the blue filter, and you of course can change the font size and the font style, but I would just leave it like it is. Something else that you can do is to customize the lock screen. You can enable the raise to wake feature, which I would always activate, and you can toggle on the wallpaper carousel, and like this you will get a new wallpaper every time you activate the display. As for the battery life, the Poco C75 comes with a large 5160 mAh battery that will get you through the weekend with ease. On standby, it will last up to 21 days. You can continuously talk for 42 hours, or you can listen to music non-stop for 140 hours. And charging this phone also doesn't take that long. You have 18 watts wired fast charging, but no wireless and no reverse wireless charging. Now let's check out the HyperOS and some of the features on this phone. And the first thing I want to mention are the apps that you get pre-installed on this phone. There are dozens of apps and games pre-installed, which take away quite a bit of your storage, and it's a little bit annoying that you first have to delete every single one of them. Storage-wise, you can decide between a 128 and 256 gig version, and I have the 128 gig version, and 20 gigs are already used up by some system files and the system itself, and that's quite a lot. By the way, the storage is also extendable with an extra microSD card. Now, this phone does have a fingerprint sensor on the side button, and this one seems to work very good in my experience. And then you also have a face detection, and this one is doing a very good job as well. Now, since you've got a 150 euro smartphone, you will mostly only get some very basic features like the safety and emergency. You got parental controls and some gesture controls. You can take a screenshot with your 3 fingers, you can turn on the torch by double pressing the side button, or you can quickly open up the camera. Then you can also double tap the fingerprint sensor to open a few of your apps like the calculator. It opens up the camera as well, or you can enable the silent mode. Now, one cool thing is that you have some AI features on this one, and that's the Magic Editor and the Magic Eraser tool. With the Magic Eraser tool, you can delete unwanted objects from the background, like a car, a passenger that is walking by, or even some birds. With the Magic Editor, you can do a lot of things depending on the picture. Now, one example is that if you have a normal selfie picture, you can transform this one into a portrait shot with a blurred background, but you can also change things like the sky behind you and other things. Next up, we got the performance and gaming. Now, this phone runs on the MediaTek Helio G81 Ultra with either 6 or 8 gigs of RAM. By the way, that's the same one as on the Redmi 14C. If you swipe on your display, it feels pretty smooth and normal, but sometimes you will get a longer waiting time if you open up an app or if you are looking for something in the searching bar. It can really take a while until you get there where you want it to get. As for the gaming performance, this one isn't that great. You can definitely not play games like Genshin Impact on the high graphic settings. Everything is just a big mess, everything lags, and you have a slight input delay. It gets a lot better if you play it on low graphic settings or medium with the game booster enabled. So there's the normal and the performance mode. With the game turbo you can also enable the D&D mode. There's a voice changer. You can take screenshots, adjust the brightness level, and a few more things. So the game booster is actually pretty good, but the phone is just not a gaming smartphone. Now let's get over to the camera, and with the Poco C75 you will get a 50 megapixel main camera but no optical image stabilization, and on the front you will get a 13 megapixel selfie camera. Now if you want to shoot some videos, it is possible with 1080p with 30 fps on both of these cameras. You will also get a few camera modes. Now there is time lapse and a portrait mode. You get a night mode and the 50 megapixel camera mode, which has a max zoom of just 2x, which really isn't a lot. Your normal pictures have a maximum of 10x, even though things get blurry after just 2x zoom. So you have to know that taking pictures with this phone isn't an easy task since you have no support from OIS. Your videos will look a little bit shaky and you will need a steady hand if you want to take blurry-free pictures. I guess I can live with the results of the main camera. The colors look poppy and vivid, and the detail level isn't that bad either. Also the 2x zoom looks alright, but I would not go any further than that. You can definitely not take pictures with the maximum zoom of 10. The contrast level in your pictures isn't that high, and the camera also has problems taking pictures of moving objects like my cats, or even if you're just trying to take some pictures while you're walking. The portrait shots on your main camera and on your selfie camera are alright-ish, and you can also adjust the depth of field before taking any pictures. It just struggles sometimes if the object is too big and it doesn't know where to focus. By the way, if you click right here, you will get to another smartphone in the same price range, and you might like this one a little bit more.